AMA United States Motocross Nationals, brought to you by Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Hello, I'm Larry Myers. Welcome to the AMA National Championship Motocross Series. Today we're going to bring you action from Washougal, Washington. We'll have coverage in the 500 and 125 championship classes. Before we get to that, though, let's go back to Millville, Minnesota. You'll see what happened just 1 week ago. It was round 8 of 13 in the 125 class at Millville, Minnesota. In the opening round of the 125s, it was Doug Henry, rider number 31, out front. He was followed by Brian Swink, then Mike LaRocco, who followed himself all the way down to the ground. It was LaRocco's first showing in the 125 class. He rode the earlier rounds of the 250s, not having a 500. Suzuki put LaRocco in the 125s just for something to do. This was the roughest part of the racetrack. They disappeared side by side. When they came back, it was all Brian Swink. He was followed by Doug Henry, rider number 31. Later in the moto, Mike Kidrowski put his motorcycle up close to the front. Here he is chasing Swink for the number 1 position. Right behind Kidrowski, rider number 6. You guessed it, that was Mike LaRocco, back from that crash in the opening moments of this moto. Kidrowski got the lead with just a couple of laps to go. He's followed here by Brian Swink. Swink was tough all day long. Mike LaRocco running in the number 3 position. Fourth at this point belonged to Jeff Emig. Fifth was Steve Lamson. Here's the 6th place rider. That's Guy Cooper, the defending national champ, aboard his Suzuki. Mike Kidrowski's going to romp home the winner in moto number 1. The closest rider to him is going to be Mike LaRocco, rider number 6. LaRocco passing Swink with just a lap or so to go, but could not put the moves on Mike Kidrowski. So moto number 1 finished like this. Kidrowski, it was LaRocco second, Swink, Emig, then Lamson running back in the number 5 position. Doug Henry finished 8th. He was rider number 31. You saw him at the outset of that first moto. Steve Lamson in moto number 2 put his peak antifreeze Pro Circuit Honda in front of the pack and took a rather large lead at one point. Here's Mike LaRocco holding down the number 2 position. LaRocco being chased by Jeff Emig, rider number 18. Mike Kidrowski slightly off the pace as the second moto got underway at Millville, Minnesota. That big lead enjoyed by Steve Lamson, number 29, did not last long. Mike LaRocco started to close on a gradual basis, and then a couple of laps he was right on the rear wheel of Steve Lamson. The two riders pounding this rough and very, very tough Millville course. The sands here shift on just about every go-around. You never know where the good line is going to be. Two riders going out of sight. Again, it was Mike LaRocco coming back into sight, holding down that number 1 position, having put the pass on Steve Lamson. LaRocco takes the checkered flag. He'll take the overall win for the day. Mike Kidrowski finished 2nd overall. Steve Lamson, who was 2nd in that last moto, was 3rd overall. Taking a look at the opening round of the 500cc National Championship, rider number 8, that's a familiar number, ought to be. It belongs to Jean-Michel Bayle, Mr. Everything in 1991 when it comes to motocross. He's wrapped up the Supercross title, has wrapped up the 250cc Outdoor National Championship title, and is on his way, I should say he's looking, for the 3rd title of the year here in the 500cc class. Opening moto of the 500 class, and it's Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11, on an air-cooled Yamaha. Can you believe that? According to the Yamaha camp, that's basically the same motorcycle that Brock Glover won the national championship with. Well, that goes back 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. Jean-Michel Bayle wins moto number 1 with ease. He was followed by Bradshaw, then Jeff Stanton taking home the number 3 position. This is moto number 2. Damon Bradshaw with the early lead, looking tough, looking good. That air-cooled Yamaha getting the job done here in the tough sands at Millville. Closest competition in the early going was supplied by Jeff Stanton, rider number 2 aboard the Honda. He was the runner-up in the 1990 500cc National Championship Series. Behind Stanton comes Jean-Michel Bayle, then the 500cc defending champ, Jeff Ward, rider number 1 aboard the Kawasaki. Stanton takes over the number 1 position. He passes Bradshaw. And of course, Stanton's objective is to put as much distance between himself and the rest of that pack as he possibly can. Stanton got that job done, and in fact, right up until the last lap of the second moto, looked like he was going to be a winner. But Jean-Michel Bayle dialed it in, and watch this pass coming up as he takes over the number 1 position. He's going to walk home with a pair of moto wins here today to take the early lead in the 500cc National Championship standings. There it was, Jean-Michel Bayle on his way to a 3rd national crown. No one has ever done that in the history of the United States. But then, Jean-Michel Bayle is not from the United States. He doesn't know maybe any better. winner. He's after that 500 crown. Don't bet against him. Today's action from Washougal, Washington. Stay with us. It's going to be great. Welcome back to National Championship Motocross. I'm Larry Myers. Coming up, motocross action in the 125 and 500 class. We'll have that for you very shortly. But first, let's go to the legendary great Bob Hurricane Hanna. He's standing by in the pits.
Thank you, Larry. We're here in Washougal, Washington after about a 3-day downpour. It's seen its way to clear up today, and take it from me, we've got a great racetrack. I've ridden here about 10 years and I've never seen it better. Beside me, we've got a guy, Damon Bradshaw, who's won a few motos here but never won an overall, and he's looking for that one today. Damon, how you doing?
I feel really good here today. The track looks like it's going to be nice.
You've ridden here a few times before. It's been a little dusty, been a little muddy, and on a track like this, I think all of us would like to ride.
Yeah, I think so. I've been here in the dust, the mud, and, you know, the bad conditions. I think we got pretty lucky today with the rain. I think the guys worked really hard and got the track prepped, so it's going to be due for some good racing.
You're third in the series. A win here today will put you in a good points lead.
Yeah, it would. You know, there's a lot of races still left, and, you know, it's kind of my third race on a 500, so I'm kind of anxious to get started.
Well, thanks a lot, Damon, and good luck today.
Thank you.
Back to you, Larry.
Thank you, Bob, and our best wishes to Damon Bradshaw. He'll be racing in that 500 class a little later today. Right now in the line, the 125 class. Earlier, there were qualifiers to determine who would make this field. Bob Hanna talks with one of the riders that qualified.
We're on the start line with Talon Volan. Talon, you've been gone 3 months for the break. You're not used to riding these qualifiers. You've been gone that long. You come back, you're not in the point standings. You got to ride the qualifiers. Does that bother you at all?
No, I think it could work to my advantage because I can go out there and learn the track, learn to start, and know how hard to brake going into that first turn before all those other guys.
You'll have a little more time on the track, a little extra practice. That's a good deal?
Well, you know, you do have to use a little bit more energy than the other guys while they're conserving it. But on the other hand, I get to learn the track more, like you say, and I feel real confident today that I can win, and I think this could help me. You know, you got to look at everything as an advantage, and I don't think it's a disadvantage at all.
You're out with a shoulder injury. It took a long time to come back. Does it feel 100% today?
It's definitely 100%. I tried to come back too soon, got off again. I decided I'll just wait until it's completely 100% and then come out and kick butt. So
good ride today, and looking forward to seeing you in the top 3 in the next 5 races, Talon.
Yeah, I'll be there.
And round 9 of the 125cc National Championship Series is about to get underway. Let's take a look at the standings in this 125 class. Mike Kiedrowski is on top with 325. Then comes defending 125 champ Guy Cooper. He's in second place with 279. Jeff Ebbing is third. Brian Swink fourth. Steve Lamson rounds out the top 5. The gate has been dropped, and the first moto in the 125 class is underway. Toward the field of 40, heads down that long, wide straightaway into that first corner where there's not an awful lot of room, and we've got a big tangle in between corner number 1 and 2. Several riders went down. Did not affect Guy Cooper, though. The defending champ is out front, and I might also add the defending Washougal champion. He was the winner here just 1 year ago. That was the race that turned the championship tide for him as he went on to take the championship after winning at Washougal. Might also point out that Jean-Michel Bale injured here at Washougal while leading the championship chase just 1 year ago. Guy Cooper out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Team Suzuki holds down the number 1 position. And for Cooper, this is an excellent opportunity to pick up some championship points. Mike Kiedrowski was involved in that pile-up between corners number 1 and 2. More on that in just a second. Here's Larry Ward from Snohomish, Washington, currently residing in Society Hill, South Carolina. He blasts by Guy Cooper to take over the number 1 position. Now, Cooper and Ward are Suzuki teammates. You would think possibly that Ward might be holding back just a little bit to protect that number 1 position for Guy Cooper. Let Cooper get the number 1 points to catch Kiedrowski. But at this point in time, I rather doubt that either Cooper or Ward know that Kiedrowski is well back in the pack. Now, we're watching the pack through this big, long tabletop jump, and I have not seen Mike Kiedrowski. There he is to the right of your screen, rider number 4. Kiedrowski way at the tail end of the pack, and they're still clearing the wreckage from that crash that took place just after corner number 1. Several of the 500cc riders out there helping. Mike LaRocco was at the bottom of that pile, and LaRocco just looked down at his handlebar and gave a thump of disgust. Evidently, he has some kind of problem that, and indeed he does. It looks like they're working on the motorcycle as the riders are going to put LaRocco at least 1 lap down. Now, that in itself is not critical because LaRocco was not in the championship chase. He's only ridden 1 125 race this year. He did it just 1 week ago, or I should say he did it in the opening round of the 125 class at Millville, Minnesota, and he won that one. but he's not going to be a championship contender. He's only there because Suzuki does not have a 500cc motorcycle, so LaRocco is riding the 125 just to keep busy. Larry Ward out front. He's followed by Guy Cooper in the number 3 position, number 29 aboard the Peak Antifreeze Pro Circuit Honda. I believe that was Steve Lamson. Running fourth was Buddy Antonez, another Suzuki rider. Then Doug Henry, all the way from Connecticut, holding down the number 5 spot. Henry is rider number 31. Larry Ward, incidentally, is another rider that has not competed in the 125 class on a regular basis. He, too, rode the 250s earlier this season. We'll be back with more race action from Washougal right after this. Welcome back. You're watching National Championship Motocross from Washougal, Washington. It's the 125 class, the opening moto of 2, and out front, it's Team Suzuki all the way. Larry Ward, rider number 10, is the leader. He took that lead from Guy Cooper on the opening lap. Cooper, rider number 1. Cooper is in second place in the standings, and Ward is not a contender, so the surprise kind of continues here. Why Team Suzuki would not have Larry Ward drop off the pace and allow Cooper to go ahead and take the championship points away from him. Meanwhile, Cooper has every intention of doing that all by himself. Maybe the thought is they don't need to ask Larry Ward to drop back, that Cooper is just going to be able to get the job done by his lonesome. Cooper now has put several bike lengths on Larry Ward. I should say has gained several bike lengths when we went away to commercial just a couple of moments ago. Ward had a rather healthy lead over Cooper, but Cooper has eaten most of that up and looks like he can close on Ward at will, although has not been able to make a pass. Now Cooper again draws to the rear wheel of Larry Ward. Ward from nearby Snohomish, Washington, and look at the crowd cheering Ward on. I'll tell you, Ward always performs well when he's in front of his hometown crowd. He won the Supercross in the Seattle Kingdom a couple of years ago, came close to doing it again this year, and there's Mike Kiedrowski, the championship points leader. Kiedrowski involved in an opening lap crash, and he is well back in the pack, running somewhere around mid-pack at this point. Has not yet cracked at least the top 13, and Larry Ward goes down. Larry Ward, rider number 10 from Snohomish, Washington, currently residing in Society Hill, South Carolina, hit a slick spot on the racetrack, and he just lost the front end of the motorcycle. He went down easily. He got right back up, got right back on the motorcycle, but in the meantime, Guy Cooper has taken over the number 1 position. Cooper in second place in the standings can make up a pile of points on Mike Kiedrowski in this moto. Now Larry Ward has bounced right back and is holding that number 2 position, and he's giving chase like he has every intention of catching Cooper. Can he do it? This moto is going to draw to a close here, just a couple of moments left, and it's going to be done, just a couple of laps I should say, and it's going to be history. It's going to go down to the wire as Ward has really picked up the pace and now has closed on Guy Cooper. Cooper takes that outside line. Larry Ward cut to the inside. The crowd here at Washougal is going nuts and cheering and pulling. They're waving everything except their underwear at Larry Ward and urging him to catch the fleeing Guy Cooper. They really don't care about championship points here. What they want to see is the hometown boy do good. Now Ward is drawn right up to the rear wheel of Guy Cooper, less than a bike length separating the 2 front runners. Ward makes an inside move, but Cooper had the good line, got on the gas, and holds down the number 1 spot. The crowd watching and waiting as the riders disappeared up into the trees, this uphill portion of the Washougal track. Now they come back down again, and it's still Guy Cooper holding on to the lead at Washougal, Washington. Right behind, though, and a threat to take this moto is there he goes to the outside. Larry Ward looking for some kind of running room up over the top of that big tabletop jump, and Ward has made the pass. Can he hold it? He does. He makes it stick. Larry Ward, for the second time today, has moved into the number 1 spot here in Washougal, Washington. It's the opening moto in the 125 class. Larry Ward, rider number 10 out front. Guy Cooper holding down the number 2 position. Third place right now is Steve Lamson. They're well off the pace. Eric Kehoe is running in a number 5 position. He's another favorite here in Washington. Fourth place, I believe it was Brian Swink the last time around, but who cares? Here's the leader. He's going to win moto number 1, Larry Ward out of Snohomish, Washington. The hometown crowd will go nuts tonight, and Ward takes the checkered flag. Guy Cooper will follow him across the line in the number 2 position. Finishing third, it's going to be Steve Lamson, then Brian Swink, Eric Kehoe, and it looks like Mike Kiedrowski is moving up through the pack, and he'll finish 6th. We'll be back with more motocross action right after this. Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. This is National Championship Motocross coming to you from Washougal, Washington, sanctioned by the American Motorcyclist Association. And we want to give a call to the organizers of this Washougal event, Ralph Huffman, Brian Barnes, and Bob Leach. These three guys have worked many, many long hours, as they have for the past several years, to turn Washougal into one of the premier facilities and premier national championship events of the season. On the line, the 500cc class, rider number 14 aboard the KTM. He was absent from the opening round at Millville, Minnesota. Mike Fisher. Good to have Mike back on the 500cc National Championship Tour. And there's the by now familiar number 8 that belongs to Jean-Michel Bayle, the Frenchman. He's already captured a pair of championships this year. Jeff Stanton, his teammate, rider number 2, finished second in this 500 class 1 year ago. The 500cc national champion, and incidentally the only rider to have captured 4 wins here at Washougal. He owns and will be riding that number 1 Kawasaki motorcycle. Earlier today, talked with Bob Hanna in the pits.
We've been lucky enough to catch Jeff Ward under the Kawasaki tent. First national, Jeff, Millville, Minnesota. You came out of there not as good as you really expected. You got a 4th place. But last week you had a terrific ride at the GP. Come from behind the first moto, win it convincingly, and then a terrible start in the second moto. Tell us a little of that.
Yeah, well, Millville didn't start off the way I'd liked it to. I was kind of injured going in. I didn't have the preparation I wanted. Still had a broken hand, so I was just trying to finish. And I felt comfortable with what I had going in. And the 2 weeks off prior to the GP, I did a lot of training, some more weightlifting, what I'm used to do. I felt a lot stronger. I rode hard the first moto. It kind of tuckered me out a little bit in that heat. And then the second moto, I got a real bad start, and there's no way I could come back.
After such a great ride at the GP, you've got a lot of confidence coming in here?
Very good. This is a good track for me. I'm real confident. Last week was a great ride, and that's the way I felt last year every time I raced, and I finally got that feeling again. It does take a little while in the 500s to get adapted, and
right.
I feel adapted now, and I need to win bad.
You've been at Washougal almost every year they put the race on, 13, 14 years. Tell us a little bit about how the track's changed in that length of time.
Well, every year we come up here, I think it changes. The one year we had the volcano eruption, and that made it really dusty, and a few years it's been really hot and dry, and then some years it rained, it's really muddy. But this year conditions, I think, are the best I've ever seen it, with the rain we had prior in the week, and the sun's coming out. It's not hot for racing temperature, so that the fade factor doesn't come in there, and I think it's going to be some good racing.
And that good racing is coming up. It'll be the opening moto here at Washougal in the 500cc class. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to National Championship Motocross. I'm Larry Myers. We're in Washougal, Washington for the second round of the 500cc National Championship Series. The opening moto of the day in that class, the 500 class, is on the line, and we're just about set to go. Earlier today, we watched action from the 125 class, and for the 125cc riders, it was the 9th race in their championship chase. The card goes sideways. This 500cc class about to blast off for the first time today here at Washougal. There goes the gate, and 40 of the fastest 500cc riders in the country are underway. Jeff Ward, the rider that Bob Hanna was talking to just a short while ago before we took a commercial break, takes the whole shot and comes out in corner number 1, but no, look at that Damon Bradshaw. Ward had the lead going into that corner, but Bradshaw snuck by on the inside, just like Ward is doing right now to Bradshaw. And Bradshaw momentarily took the number 1 position. But Ward is back out front, Bradshaw running second. Jeff Stanton, I believe, is in the number 3 position. Looked like Jean-Michel Bayle in 4th, holding down the number 5 spot. That would have been Doug Dubach, rider number 15, aboard the other Yamaha, entered here by the Yamaha factory team. Bradshaw on one, Dubach on the other. Well, as the riders come back into our side, it's Jeff Ward out front, and it looks like rider number 8, Jean-Michel Bayle, holding down the number 2 position with Jeff Stanton in 2nd. Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11 aboard the Yamaha, has dropped back to 3rd, and running in the number 4 spot is rider number 100 out of camera range. That's Ron Lachine. Jeff Ward, the only 4-time winner here at Washougal. He's done it in a pair of classes. Ward has won here twice in the 125 class, and also twice the winner in the 500cc class. Ward is the only rider to have done that, and needless to say, he's a big favorite here at Washougal. Through this humongous set of whoop-de-doos comes Jeff Ward, just skimming over the top. The Kawasaki handling beautifully in the early going of moto number 1. It's in the number 2 position. It's still Jean-Michel Bayle, the Frenchman who is on top of the national championship point standings. He's being chased by his teammate, Jeff Stanton, rider number 2, in the number 3 position. Take a look at the national championship point standings. Jean-Michel Bayle on top. He has 50 points. He won both motos at Millville, the opening round. In the number 2 position, it's Jeff Stanton. He has 42 points. Third place belongs to Damon Bradshaw. Fourth place in the standings is Jeff Ward. He's the rider currently leading the opening moto here at Washougal. And rounding out the top 5, Ron Lachine. Lachine currently running in 4th. Rider number 100 here at Washougal. He's aboard a Tough Racing Kawasaki. And look at this as the riders come back into view. Jean-Michel Bayle has taken over the number 1 position. Bayle is leading. It's Jeff Ward running back in the number 2 slot. Jeff Stanton in 3rd. Now, I don't know if Ward is having some kind of problem with his motorcycle or whether maybe he tweaked a knee or an ankle and he's having some kind of a physical problem, but Ward definitely has dropped off the pace. He is not going as fast as he did in the opening laps. Jean-Michel Bayle has taken over the number 1 position. Here comes Stanton to the inside, and Stanton puts the move on Ward, and Stanton takes over 2nd. So Jean-Michel Bayle in the opening round of the 500cc class here at Washougal is on the way toward padding his points lead. Bayle taking over the number 1 spot on that last go-around. You just saw Dan Bentley. He was the mechanic, or is the mechanic, I should say, for Jeff Stanton. He was just pointing at his head and telling Stanton, think a little bit, because we're losing some more points to Bayle. What Bentley wants him to do is to pick up the pace, get up there and try to pressure Bayle into maybe making some kind of a mistake. Now, in fairness to Jean-Michel Bayle, I must tell you that he probably, no, I won't say probably, he technically is the best motocrosser in the world today. He does not make too many unforced errors. The translation of that is simply this: if Jeff Stanton wants to make the pass, he's going to have to get up there and work for it. I don't think that Jean-Michel Bayle is going to give him anything, and Jeff Stanton is doing exactly that. Coming back into our view, he has moved to the rear wheel of Jean-Michel Bayle. We saw just a few seconds ago Dan Bentley pointing at Bayle, pointing at his head, saying, come on, pick it up, and that's just what Stanton has done. The mechanic and the rider communicating here in the closing stages of the opening lap of the 500cc National Championship at Washougal, Washington. Jean-Michel Bayle up over the top of that jump, cast a quick look behind him, wants to see who that is, whether or not it's Bradshaw coming back, whether it's Ward coming back, or whether indeed it is still his teammate, Jeff Stanton. All of these riders ride differently, and Bayle knows what each one of them would do in a particular situation, and he doesn't want to leave any doors open, maybe thinking that Stanton is someone else. Look at Stanton. Stanton trying to get a run on the inside, and Jeff Stanton takes over the number 1 spot. Can he hold it? Bayle kind of squared that corner off and got back inside Stanton to regain the lead, but Jeff Stanton put the drive on and took over for just a few feet there, that number 1 position. Okay, you know he's capable of doing it. Does he have anywhere else on the track that he can pull that same kind of maneuver? And I'll tell you why that's critical, because Jean-Michel Bayle now knows where Jeff Stanton is apt to try to make a pass. Let's go back and take a look at that pass effort. Here's Jean-Michel Bayle. He's making that left-hander now. Stanton just held the throttle on, but in the process of making the pass, he had to go a little bit wide through the mechanics area, and Bayle saw that coming. He just shot back to the inside to regain that number 1 position. So Jean-Michel Bayle holds down the lead. In fact, he's lengthened it here in the closing stages, the last lap, I should add, of moto number 1. Jeff Stanton will hold on to take the number 2 spot. It's going to be Jeff Ward finishing 3rd. Damon Bradshaw will be 4th. Rounding out the top 5 is going to be, unless they crash in the next few corners, Ron Lachine. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. You've been watching AMA National Championship Motocross, and there is still a lot more to come. Before we get to it, though, let's go inside motocross with retired champion Bob Hurricane Hanna.
Hello, I'm Bob Hurricane Hanna, and welcome to another edition of Inside Motocross. Bob Hurricane Hanna here, legend in my own mind. I've been riding closed course competition motorcycles for 15 years now. But now when I want to have some fun on a motorcycle, I look towards a trail bike. Something I can ride up in the hills, good power band, a light motorcycle with a muffler where I don't make the neighbors mad, and even better yet, a trail bike that's barely street legal. Something I can ride through the hills and come back through town without getting the police riled. And with us to tell us a little bit about these different machines is Randy McAllister from Arroyo Suzuki. How you doing, Randy?
Great. Hi, Bob.
Randy, the RM is obviously a high-performance machine, but a little light and a little noisy for the average trail rider nowadays when we can get these user-friendly bikes out here. It seems that we've got the same good disc brakes. They've lightened them up quite a bit. We've got very smooth power for us older guys, you know. And aluminum swing arms. There's a lot of technology in this bike that came right from the dirt bike.
Bob, you can take this bike just about anywhere. You can take it in the mountains, on the beach, where it's legal. And it's just a fun all-around bike.
From the desert to the trees to the hamburger joint downtown, right on the beach. It sounds like a lot of fun. I wish I lived a little closer to the northwest here where I could ride on that beach.
It's probably the funnest bike on the market. It is great.
Same great suspension and engine performance on the DRS?
It is. It's barely street legal, and it's probably the best handling off-road bike that's street legal on the market today.
For so many years, people took street bikes and made them dirt bikes. Suzuki actually made this dirt bike a street legal bike. Is that the way they did?
So many years they build them, they're half good for the street, half good for the trail. We finally have an actual street legal off-road machine, and it is great.
For the guy that doesn't need it perfect street legal, is the DR a little bit better trail bike?
Bob, we got the off-road version with no mirrors. You got your plastic gas tank, a little more performance oriented, and we got the knobby tires on it stock.
How about the suspension? It a little bit better for off-road?
Over 11 inches of rear travel, excellent suspension, one of the best handling bikes on the market.
I think I'll take a DR, Randy.
I will too.
But at cost, I hope.
We'll see.
How about a rider that's really never raced, as you and I did, that wants to start trail riding? He could be an older gentleman, wants to start trail riding. Do you think the DRS is the bike to have, or a DR?
Well, it's a personal preference. The guy that wants to go on the trails that are starting to get closed down, do land closures, the DRS is the wave of the future. For the guy that still has a closed course place he can ride, the DR is a little bit more aggressive. It would be funner for the off-road enthusiast.
Suzuki's putting on some dual sport rides so you can demo the bike without actually buying one to get the feel of it. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that is a fantastic program. First of all, anybody that's interested in buying a DR can sign up for these special club events with no obligation to buy, can go out and ride them, have fun on them, sell themselves, and it does. It is flat does. It's the best program Suzuki's got on the market right now.
They bring a truck and feed the people, and I've been on a couple of them myself. A lot of fun.
And that really makes it special to the customers. They really love Bob and your friend Charlie Halpern coming. It's really been special. And for anybody that's been on those rides, they've always told their friends, and the next up-and-coming rides, just get more people involved into the dual sport market.
Thank you, Randy, for talking with us today.
Thanks, Bob.
Life's too short to be spending all your weekends throwing dirt around your wife's garden. But if you still want to throw up a little dirt and have some fun doing it, check out your local motorcycle dealer and see what kind of motorcycle he has designed for the type of terrain you want to ride in. I'm Bob Hanna, and we'll see you next time inside Motocross.
Thank you, Bob, for that inside look at motocross. Still to come here at Washougal, Washington, the second set of motos in both the 125 and 500cc National Championship classes. We'll have that action for you when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back to Washougal, Washington. I'm Larry Myers. This is National Championship Motocross. Earlier today, we watched a pair of motos, one each in the 125 and 500cc classes. Still to come, two more motos, one each from those two classes. On the line, the 125s. Keep your eye on the starter. He's in the center of the track there all by himself. When that board goes sideways, he runs. You bet it went sideways, and he ran, just barely making it out of the way as 40 of the fastest 125 riders in the world streaked toward corner number one. Will they avoid? No, they did not. I was just going to say, will they avoid a pileup like they had in moto number one? Now, it wasn't nearly as bad, but there was a small one. Meanwhile, Brian Swink from that pro circuit peak antifreeze team, rider number 42 out of Fenton, Michigan, takes the hole shot in the second moto. He's not going to look back. Swink has just buried the hammer, and he is well in front of the rest of this field already. Behind Swink was Cliff Palmer, then Buddy Antunez, rider number 20. Now, earlier I said that Antunez was on a Suzuki. That's what he's been riding all year long, but I think Antunez has switched. That looked like a Yamaha when they flashed by that go-around. We'll try to get more information on that for you. Antunez has moved into the number 2 position, rider number 20, Buddy Antunez, holding down second. Palmer dropping back to third. Is still out front Brian Swink. Now, well back in the pack, Mike Kiedrowski, the championship points leader, and Guy Cooper. Cooper did not get a good start this go-around. Larry Ward, the winner of Moto #1, is not too far off the pace. He's well up inside the top 10, and he's ready to make a move. In fact, Ward is already working his way through the pack. There was Ward going to the inside, and Ward had taken over the #3 position. It's Swink, Antunez, Larry Ward, and Mike LaRocco in that order. And I thought I saw I thought I saw rider number 25. That would be Steve Lamson creeping up into the #5 position. But Brian Swink out of Fenton, Michigan could care less about all of that. Swink casts a quick look over his shoulder, and he sees absolutely no one. Swink is really hammering on this rough Washougal racetrack. Swink has taken over that #1 position. He did that in the first corner, and there has been no one near him. Cliff Palmer was the earliest challenger. He didn't last long. Buddy Antunez took a crack at Swink, and there is Antunez, rider number 20, aboard the Yamaha. He's riding that one for the first time. Larry Ward is running 3rd, Mike LaRocco 4th, Steve Lamson is 5th. Running back in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, it looks like about 10 or 11, was Mike Kidrowski, and well behind Kidrowski is Guy Cooper. So the favorites in this class are not doing well at all here today. Back in the view comes Larry Ward and Mike LaRocco. Brian Swink is long gone. Here's 3rd now, Buddy Antunez. Antunez dropping off the pace. 5th place is still the property. And there is Mike Kidrowski now moving up. And Kidrowski, I believe, is all the way up to the #7 position. Swink is out front. Larry Ward 2nd. Mike LaRocco is 3rd. Buddy Antunez 4th. Steve Lamson is 5th. In the #6 position, it's rider number 125. That's Jeremy McGrath. And in 7th is rider number 4. That's Mike Kidrowski. Here's a battle now for the #2 position. Larry Ward and Mike LaRocco going at it. We had Suzuki teammates in Moto #1 that hammered each other. That was Cooper and Ward. This time it's Suzuki teammates, LaRocco and Ward. And just like that, LaRocco goes to the outside of Ward, and he takes over the #2 position. Now, these riders have nothing to lose or gain in terms of points out here today. They really don't care who wins the championship. It's out of their grasp. They did not ride, as I told you earlier, in this 125 class at the outset of the season. They rode the 250cc National Championship Series. When the 250cc Series came to an end, Suzuki did not have a 500cc bike, so they said, hey, we don't want you to sit around and be idle. We want you to earn your money, earn your keep out there, guys. So they put them on 125cc machines. Both of them right now not only battling each other, but trying to catch the fleeing Brian Swink. Swink from Fenton, Michigan, holding down the #1 spot. Winner of the opening moto was Larry Ward. Mike LaRocco finished way back. He was involved in that first corner pileup, and we have since learned that when he went down, one of the handlebars of one of the other riders that landed on top of him, a handlebar actually went through the opening in LaRocco's helmet. You can see that face guard that's built out around the lower portion of the helmet. It went right down behind that face guard, and they had all kinds of trouble because there were motorcycles on top of LaRocco, handlebar in that opening, and he kept telling them, hey, watch what you're doing. Don't jerk that bike. You're ripping my head off. Then to top it all off, when LaRocco got up, he discovered, and we've got a rider down. Mike LaRocco goes down. LaRocco was catching. He was catching Swink. Look at that. Look at the lead that he had over Larry Ward. He was really putting the moves on Swink. He come around that corner and just lost it. He got up and still held on to the #2 position. That's how far out in front of Ward he was and how close to Brian Swink. You'll see Swink. There he is. Swink going in the other direction. LaRocco has already opened up about a 10 bike length lead over Larry Ward. Let's go back and take a look at what happened after LaRocco got up. Watch this. Ward tries to come around the outside. LaRocco's not cutting any slack at all. Here's one more look at it from another direction. See there? LaRocco really doesn't even know that Ward is coming. Didn't pay any attention. Ward tried to sneak around that outside, and just a little minor altercation there between Suzuki pals and Suzuki teammates. Swink finished 4th in that opening moto, so all LaRocco has to do, or I should say all Larry Ward has to do, is sit back and collect that #3 position, and he's going to walk off with the overall honors for the day. Brian Swink heads for the checkered flag, and aboard his pro circuit, Peak Antifreeze Honda, he takes it, wins moto #2. Coming in #2 position will be Mike LaRocco. Ward will coast home 3rd. When I talk about the overall position of the day, there is an overall winner that combined the points earned in each of the 2 points-paying motos. The guy that comes out on top is the winner. The motos, though, are scored independent of each other. Ward wins it. Brian Swink finishes 2nd. It's Cooper in 3rd overall. Lamson 4th. Jeremy McGrath rounding out the top 5. We'll be back with 500 action right after this. Welcome back. Still one moto to go at Washougal, Washington. National Championship Motocross. I'm Larry Myers. That's the 500cc class. They're on the line as we look at some of the huge crowd here today enjoying themselves in the bright sunshine and beautiful weather at this beautiful facility. That's the tail end of the 125 class. As soon as those riders are off the track, the gate will drop in this 500, and we're set to go. And it looks like, and it is for the second time today, Jeff Ward from Mission Viejo, California, aboard a Kawasaki, shoots to the front. Now, Ward had the lead in moto number 1. We told you that we thought that either Ward was having a problem or a problem with the motorcycle, one of the two, and we found out between motos that Ward indeed did have a bike problem as he is chased here by Jeff Stanton in the number 2 position, and the problem was a blown shock. Got to go back to the early part of that moto, and you have to think that if Ward had not suffered that problem with the shock absorber, that he easily would have won that moto. He was just riding the wheels off that Kawasaki, and he's doing it here again in moto number 2. Jeff Ward is out front, running in a number 2 position is Jeff Stanton. I'm not sure who that was in 3rd, but I can tell you in 4th it was Jean-Michel Bale. And there's that 3rd place rider was Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11. So Bradshaw aboard the Yamaha is up close and set to do damage on the rest of this field. At the outset of the season, there was discussion with regard to whether or not the Yamaha was capable of staying with the latest technology because, quite frankly, Yamaha has not done a lot of developmental work on that 500 engine since Brock Glover wrote it several years ago. So they got it out of mothballs. It's an air-cooled, where the rest of these are water-cooled. Got it out of mothballs and said, let's give it a shot. Instead of putting Bradshaw Dubach back into the 125 class, we'll go 500cc racing. And the bike has certainly proven to be competitive with the rest of the motorcycles in this class. Bradshaw currently running in the number 3 position. There was a quick look at Ward running out the left side of your screen, then Stanton, and now Jean-Michel Bale trying to work his way around Damon Bradshaw. Bale, the series points leader, also the winner of moto number 1, and has not been able to get the job done as far as passing Bradshaw at this stage of the game. It's still early going in moto number 2 of this 500cc class. Bradshaw working the Yamaha. Bale trying to get an inside line and outside line as the riders go up over the top of that jump and disappear from our view. He really doesn't care what kind of line he gets. He just wants to make a pass. Ward still out front. Jeff Stanton in second, and Bale out of our sight. Got the job done. Bale holds now the number 3 position, dropping Damon Bradshaw back to 4th. This racetrack at Washougal is in unbelievable condition. Ralph Huffman, Bob Leach, the couple of the organizers of the event, have put in a lot of hours to make it this way, and it has certainly paid off. A lot of rain leading up to this event, but they have installed a sprinkler system. Look at this, not a bit of dust as they have pounded this track all day long, and plenty of traction. Give credit to Huffman and Leach, of course, to Brian Barnes, the young man that does such a great job in promoting this race. That was Dan Bentley again. Now, we saw Dan in moto number 1 doing basically the same thing. This time he's telling Stanton to catch Jeff Ward. Last time he was telling Stanton to catch the moto winner, Jean-Michel Bale. Stanton did get the job done, but he was not able to make the pass and make it stick. Whether or not he'll be able to catch Jeff Ward, another story. Ward looked awfully strong in the first moto until that shock went away and dropped him back to the number 3 position. Right now, though, Ward is riding flawlessly on this Washougal track. Jeff Ward holding down the lead. I already told you that Ward is the only 4-time winner here at Washougal, but how about riders that have won here 3 times? Well, there are only 2 of them, Brock Glover and Rick Johnson. Now, are you ready for this? Rick Johnson, for the first time, won in 1983 in the 250 class. Would you believe this? He was riding a Yamaha. He did it again in 1984 on that same motorcycle, and of course, right after that, switching to Team Honda, where he won so many championships for the Big Red machines. And which motorcycle brand, or which brand of motorcycles, I should say, has done the most winning here at Washougal? I'll give you that answer in a second. Give you time to mull it over. Meanwhile, Jeff Stanton in the number 2 position is mulling over just what he has to do to catch Jeff Ward. He's given it every possible shot, and he's not been able to find the answer. He's come close on a couple of occasions, but each time he seems to be drawing within a passing distance or getting close enough to make some kind of a move. Ward just reaches down and dials it on a little bit harder and opens up the gap one more time. Jeff Ward, the veteran, 30 years of age. He won one national earlier this year. He did that in the Supercross Series at Oklahoma. He's looking to put one more in the books right here in Washougal, Washington. The answer to that trivia question, well, if you said Suzuki, you were wrong. They have 6 along with Honda. If you said Kawasaki, you're wrong again. They had 4. Yamaha has 7 national championships here at this Washougal track. They are the leading manufacturer in terms of national championship wins. This one is winding down the second race in the 500cc class. Jeff Ward has dominated since the opening lap, and one has to wonder. I pointed this out to you at the outset of this moto. It deserves saying again, had Ward not had the shock absorber problem in the first moto, would he not have dominated there too? And oh, that was Jeff Stanton that crossed in front of that rider aboard the Kawasaki. I can't see who that rider is, but Jeff Stanton looked like he crossed in front of him in mid-air. Let's go back and take another look, and he just wiped the front end of the Kawasaki out. Now let's see what happens. We'll watch the, here it comes. Watch this. There's Stanton, and indeed Stanton crosses from left to right and took the front end of the Kawasaki out from under him. Here it is again. And the rider just clipped the rear end of Stanton's motorcycle. Stanton kept going, but the Kawasaki rider, and again, I cannot see who that is. The number was just not visible to me. The Kawasaki rider went down hard. He crawled immediately to the side of the track, and we're happy to report that whoever he is okay. He was standing up, and they pushed the bike out of the way. Jeff Ward about to take the checkered flag, and he wins the second moto here at Washougal, and he'll win overall honors for the day in this 500cc class. And we'll be coming right back with interviews. Bob Hanna will be talking with the winners as well as an update in point standings. Stay with us. Welcome back to Washougal, Washington. We've enjoyed an exciting day of National Championship motocross here in the Pacific Northwest. 2 classes were run today, 125 and 500s. Now, in the 125cc class, coming out on top with moto finishes of 1st and 3rd was Larry Ward, currently residing in Society Hill, South Carolina, but formerly of Snohomish, Washington. You can bet he was the crowd favorite here today. Brian Swink was 2nd overall, Cooper 3rd, Lamson 4th, Jeremy McGrath 5th. Here's a look at the 125 National Championship point standings. Mike Kidrowski still on top. He's won 3 events this year, 356 points. In 2nd place, it's Guy Cooper out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's won a pair of points. He has a pair of events, I should say, 313 points. Brian Swink is 3rd, Steve Lamson 4th, Jeff Emig is in 5th. Let's take a look at the way the 500cc class finished. Coming out on top, the veteran Jeff Ward, 30 years of age. He put it on the younger guys out here today. What a great sight it was. He also had moto finishes of 3rd and 1st. Bale finished 2nd overall, Jeff Stanton 3rd, Damon Bradshaw 4th, Ron Lachine was 5th. Here's a look at the National Championship point standings. Bale on top after 2 events with 95 points. Then comes Stanton with 86. Jeff Ward is 3rd with 83. Then Damon Bradshaw, and Ron Lachine is in 5th. Let's go to Bob Hanna, who's standing by with the winners.
I said we were going to have a wonderful track for some great racing today, and great racing is what we had. The winner of the 125 class, Larry Ward, hometown favorite today. You look great. Tell us how it went.
Everything went real good. My Suzuki ran well, and the crowd got behind me, and I pulled off a victory.
Washington State's good for you. You won the Supercross here, and you won the outdoor. It feels good?
Feels real good. Last year, I was disappointed not to win here, and I came back and did it this year, so I'm real happy.
Great ride. The racing was equally as good in the 500 class. We talked to Jeff Ward earlier today, and he said today's the day to get in the points lead, and that's exactly what he's done. Great race, Jeff.
Thanks, Bob. I just went out there and hung on to my bike basically the whole race. And the second moto was a fast pace, and I just thought if I kept it, it might break. Stanton might have fall off, and he eventually did. But flappers played a big part. They got my way and his way, but it was fun.
That 500 is a handful to ride for 35 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. First moto, the shock blew out halfway, so it was really hard to handle, and that wore me out a little bit. But then the second one, I couldn't believe how much smoother it was, and I just kept a good pace. And they're a fun bike to ride when the track's this nice. And Washougal was just the best track I've ridden on so far.
That was a great ride.
Thank you.
Larry, back to you.
And with that, another day of AMA National Championship Motocross brought to you by Suzuki comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we have enjoyed bringing it to you, and that you'll tune in again right here on Prime Network as the championship series continues. Until next time, I'm Larry Myers. The AMA United States Motocross Nationals, brought to you by Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.